All right, thanks everybody for joining me today. We just had a few technical difficulties, so hopefully those were cleared up. I'm just going to go ahead and restart this presentation. We do have some people logged in, maybe others will be continuing to join throughout the webinar, but we'll just start with a few housekeeping items here. I do have everyone placed on mute, and I ask that you keep your microphones off for the duration of the presentation to eliminate any background noise. We will be opening up time at the end for questions and answers, and you can also use the chat feature throughout the session. This webinar is being recorded so that we can share it with others who are not able to join us today. We started a monthly webinar series about a year ago focusing on career success, and today's topic is work-life balance with you at the center of it. This presentation is brought to you by High Consulting Services. We are a Phoenix-based career services firm. We believe that you have the power to make your career dreams come true, and we help you get there with professional career services, including resume writing, LinkedIn profile optimization, interview preparation, cover letter copywriting, and more. We are committed to our clients and their success. So just a little bit about me. I'm the president and founder of High Consulting Services, which I opened in 2017. I have a master's degree in industrial and organizational psychology, which is a fancy way of saying human resources. I have a lot of experience in operations management, sales, marketing, and HR. I'm also very involved locally, partnering with Local First Arizona and Phoenix Startup Week. I'm a board member with AZ Talent Co-op and a regular volunteer with Career Connectors. When I'm not in the office, you'll find me exploring the Southwest. I love to go camping and spend time outdoors with my 2 dogs, my niece, and my husband. I also ride a dirt bike, so I'm always looking for new trails to explore. So today we're really going to be focusing on the 4 life quadrants: work, family, friends, and the self. I just noticed here that I've got some of my definitions mixed up. I did just change the order of this last night, so we'll just kind of have to go through these here. But work is how we engage with others to either make money, pay our bills, complete tasks, chores. All of that falls into the category of work. With your family, these are the people that you are related to, spend the most time with. There's some type of mutual relationship between you and that individual. Friends are the people that we choose to associate ourselves with, and again, that is some type of mutual relationship of acceptance between two or more people. With yourself, this is tending to your physical body and keeping it healthy. It's staying in touch with your emotions and practicing mindfulness. And we're going to focus the most of this presentation on taking care of the self, because the self plays into the work, family, and friends that all make up our 4 life quadrants. So what is work? Well, according to dictionary.com, work is any activity involving mental or physical effort done in order to achieve a purpose or result. So we can look at this from the employee or employer perspective. Some of us are self-employed, so they might have a little bit different definition of work. Some of the other words that come to mind when we think about work is being the breadwinner in the family, or maybe you're a supportive income, paying your bills, keeping to a schedule, balancing your time. All of these are concepts that I think about when the word work is used. My grandfather used to always say that work is called work because work isn't fun. If they called it fun, then it would be fun. And that really led to a lot of me developing this presentation, because we are moving into a space where work doesn't have to just be work. It can play into these other 3 quadrants and be a component of those 4 life quadrants. So work, again, is just an activity involving mental or physical effort done to achieve a purpose or result. Work can be fun, work can be boring, work can be a lot of different things. And it's all about our perspective of how we see this. What we want to do is be the most successful at work that we possibly can be. And we do that by taking care of the self and practicing work-life balance. So family, what is family? Family is a group of 1 or more parents and their children living together as a unit. Again, this is according to dictionary.com. Some words that come to mind when we use family is relatives, maybe dinners, right? Family dinner is always a big thing that's thrown around the holidays. It can also be something that gives you support and attention. It helps fuel us to be our best at work and also the best to ourselves. Friends, I hope we have some Friends fans on the call because I was really excited when I found this image. I'm a big Friends fan. So Friends is considered a person whom you know and that you have a bond of some mutual affection. So it's similar to the family group, but that you aren't necessarily related to one another. So some of the words that come to mind when I'm talking about friends are socialization, networking, acceptance, truth, support. Friends give us this safe space where we can communicate with each other and again, provide some benefits to the self. So in those three concepts that we just briefly walked through, we have work, family, and friends. And all of this ties into how we best support ourselves. And in return, the better that we take care of ourselves, the better we're able to show up in work and family and friend situations. So going into the self now. So self-care is any activity that we choose to do to take care of our physical, mental, and emotional well-being. This plays in, as I just said, to family, friends, work, our exercise routines, our hobbies. All of this is what creates the self. So why do we need to practice more self-care? Well, our well-being is important no matter the circumstances or state of the world. Self-care helps us manage stress better and allows us to be more productive, which really can come in handy when we're talking about a work situation or a family situation. And taking care of ourselves helps us keep a good work-life balance, which is the whole premise behind this presentation. Mental self-care is taking care of your mind. And so we have three outlined things that you can do here to help practice better mental self-care. The first, and you'll see all three of these come up throughout this presentation, but is that you do really want to set a routine. You should schedule office hours and stick to them. A lot of times with work, a set schedule is presented for you, but a lot of times we might tend to go outside of that, working before or later. And same thing with family. It's important to set a routine there and say, this is where my family time is. Maybe I don't work on the weekends, but that's my family time. So don't let work interrupt your family time. And at the same, don't let family time interrupt your work time, right? This is all about creating that balance. If you think of a scale, it should be level on each side, but sometimes that's going to move up and down. When you're setting this routine, it's also really important to set time aside for self-improvement, your hobbies, and recharging yourself. So this is things like sleeping, exercising, riding your bike, going for a hike, doing a puzzle or a crossword, maybe taking an online class or something to continue your education. All of this needs to be built into your routine that you've set for yourself. And as you develop this routine, we're going to move on to point number 2, where it's really important to take breaks throughout the day. Taking time to go offline and do other things that are not related to work. So this could be having a true lunch break. How many of us eat at our desk, right? I'm raising my hand. I'm sometimes guilty of that. But I actually do really make it a point to schedule time outside of my day to take a lunch break. And I read. Paper books. I'm still like the physical books, and I check them out from the library. That is one of the ways that I take a break during the day. Some other clients of mine say that they take breaks by driving. They will use their commute as a break, and rather than focusing on the presentation that they have to give, they are listening to a podcast that they enjoy. Yoga is a great way to take a break. Just taking a walk in the park, just getting yourself to go offline and think about things that are not related to things that you're trying to move forward or progress in a work situation. This ties into bullet number 3 here, practicing mindfulness and taking time for mentally relaxing activities, as well as activities that stimulate your creativity, right? So this stuff might be something like painting or doing pottery. Those can be both mentally relaxing activities and also creatively stimulating. Home projects can fall into one of these other 3 categories too, right? We just want to really observe how you respond to some of these tasks. Are you labeling it as a chore or as a relaxing activity? Are you labeling it as work or something creative? It can be hard to, find that black and white sometimes, but, just mentally, how are you viewing this activity? And then setting that into your routine to help leave time for all of the things that you want to achieve, again, with this work-life balance. Self-care is also being patient with and kind to yourself. We are our own worst critics, right? So it's very easy to, at the end of the day, sort of analyze everything that you've done. What could you have done differently? What if you had said this to your boss? There's all of these different self-critical things that we can do. But self-care also means being patient with and kind to yourself, which is giving yourself permission to not be perfect. And sometimes that can be a really difficult concept for us to grasp, but nobody is perfect. And so it is okay to be forgiving of some of the things that you may be overanalyzing in your mind at the end of the day, and being patient with yourself and giving yourself the time to grow and adapt to new situations. Self-care practices also look different for everyone. When I found this slide of, playing video games, that's not my idea of recharging and energizing. I certainly play video games, but it's not what I do to shut things off. However, people in my immediate family, this is what they would choose to do as an activity. Um, I have people that in my family that play music. Everything will look different. It's based on activities that you enjoy. And so the main idea here is to engage in an activity that recharges or energizes you, right? It gives you something rather than taking something from you. Emotional self-care is also critically important and often one of the most overlooked. We tend to know that emotional self-care is important, but actively engaging in emotional self-care seems to be something that many people uh, avoid doing. And this really starts with acknowledging your feelings and knowing that they're valid. Journaling is a great way to practice emotional self-care. You can also talk to people. Therapy is something that is can be really, really beneficial. And it doesn't mean that you have to be diagnosed with some crazy psychological disorder. Therapy is very beneficial to anyone to be able to get an outside objective viewpoint. Friends can also share in this communication to being able to share your feelings with other people. And it's also great to practice gratitude. This is something that I work on with a lot of my clients, is having a gratitude journal. And so this is really starting out your day with creating a list of 3 things that you're thankful for or grateful for. And if you do that early in the day, it actually sets up how you feel about things the rest of the day. And so you don't have to write a whole story about why you are thankful or grateful for these 3 things. You can just do it as a little bulleted list, and it can be the same thing that you write down every day. But we're just practicing gratitude that there are good and beautiful things in life. And also that shows you what's important to us, right? So coming from the perspective of work-life balance, what is it that we're grateful for? Are you grateful for your position that you have? Are you grateful for your family? Are you grateful for your friends? These 4, key life quadrants should all be playing into some of those things that you're grateful for. And if they're not, then we've got to make a change somewhere. Physical self-care is also really important. We hear a lot about this. So getting enough sleep, Keeping a bedtime schedule and giving your body the rest that it needs to recover is super important. I actually set an alarm on my phone every night at 10 p.m. and that just indicates me that it's time to start, winding down. It's time to start going to bed and getting into that routine. And what it's almost done is that when I hear that alarm go off, it's like a Pavlov reaction, right? That I don't start salivating, but it does start to, trigger my body into getting into that restful and recovery mode. Nutrition is also extremely important. So you want to nourish your body with healthy foods and keep yourself hydrated. When we're busy and on the go, this is one of the first things that we get rid of in terms of work-life balance. We grab fast food, we drink soda instead of water, we drink alcohol late at night to help us try and go to bed. There's all of these things that we do that actually hurt our bodies other than keeping it nourished so that we can perform at our best. When you are taking care of yourself to the best that you can with enough sleep and healthy diet and staying hydrated, you then perform better at work and have better work-life balance. Exercise is also extremely important. So I typically recommend setting aside at least 30 minutes a day to work out or simply move your body. And again, going back a few slides to where we were talking about setting a schedule, schedule in your exercise if you find it hard to get in and make it realistic, right? I mean, I'm not saying you need to be at the gym at 5 in the morning every morning just so that you can fit it in, but you can do it over a lunch break. You can break it up 15 minutes and 15 minutes. One of the biggest things that fitness instructors hear about why somebody doesn't exercise is that they don't have time. And it is critical to make that time for just a little bit of exercise each day. Social self-care is about maintaining connections with other people. So try and reach out to someone every day. This is something that, we saw a huge result with in the pandemic, was that we started to feel isolated. But you can call or message with a family member just to check in. Checking in on other people also fills this bucket for you of the social self-care. So it's just as important to show up for other people as it is for them to show up for you. And here we go. You can also think of self-care as taking care of yourself so that you can better take care of others. I share this with my niece all the time, is that, if you don't take care of yourself, then you can't show up for, the other people that need you to the best that you could. So it's really important to take care of yourself so that you can show up your best for others and in other places. So now we're going to walk through the 3 strategies to improve work-life balance. This one is my favorite, and why it's number 1 is that you want to play to your strengths. If I have any clients on the call, you know that I typically start with identifying what your top 5 strengths are. I'm not saying that you need to be able to, ask that question in an interview and say, oh, what are your top 5 strengths? And then you list them off. But if you know what your top 5 strengths are and you utilize those and you listen for that language, those are the areas that you want to focus on and outsource to others. You don't have to be all of it and everything. So for example, if you're not a whiz at accounting or graphic design, outsource those to somebody else, right? Get somebody else to work on those projects. Don't invest your time in trying to focus on something that is not your strength, unless it's a skill set that you're trying to improve, of course. But when it's not one of your strengths, it ends up taking up so much mental and physical energy from you that then you're not able to practice the self-care that you really need to achieve that work-life balance. So what we want to do is identify what your top strengths are and focus all of your energy in those areas, and then acknowledge where you're not the strongest and that somebody else may be stronger there, and working together as a team with them. This is where we pull into some of those other life quadrants of your friends and family. Likely, if you have these strengths, somebody else in that network has the strengths that you don't have, and it's okay to not have those strengths. So you focus on what you're strongest at, share that with others, help other people identify what they're strongest at, and then let them share that with you. Again, going back to taking a break. Breaks are so important. So you want to remember to take time throughout your day and just simply be. This is what we call mindfulness, is just the ability to be comfortable with being yourself and doing your best to give yourself a break. Make a point of getting up and stretching. This will help you become clearer and more focused and even more productive. And when you take a break, be really conscious of breaking. We can almost take like pseudo breaks where we pretend that we're taking a break, but really we're just pulling out our phone and continuing to check our emails. That doesn't really count as a break, right? We actually need to just simply sit and be to allow ourselves to recharge and take a break. The last thing here is to learn to say no. As people, we tend to want to please others. We tend to want to put others' needs before our own. But learning to say no will really benefit you in the long run. Saying no sometimes to extra projects or commitments, planning that bridal shower, or maybe meeting somebody early in the morning for a hike right before you've got a big work presentation, or doing the work presentation. Don't let saying yes get in the way of achieving your work and personal objectives. To always say yes isn't always the right answer. Sometimes saying no is the best answer to give. And I liked this particular image because it says yes, no, or maybe. And a lot of times we feel like saying maybe, or I'll think about it, or let me get back to you. Those are all, kind of those placeholders for wanting to say no, but not actually being able to say the word. And so if you can try and remove that maybe option from your language and just looking at things from a yes or no perspective on whether or not you can do what is put in front of you, that will help. Prolonging making that decision requires a lot of energy. And so to save that energy and perform better for the activities that you've said yes to is really the best way to help yourself achieve the work-life balance. I want to thank you all for joining me during our presentation today. You are welcome to connect with me on LinkedIn. I can also be reached at info@highconsultingservices.com. A copy of this recording, as I said before, will be emailed out and also up on our YouTube page. We encourage you to follow us on social media, and I'll send out an email with all of those links as well. I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording here, and we can then open up any time for questions and answers that you may have.